Hello. Okay, I decided to tackle the comedies first, although there's a couple other movies we could probably talk about historically. I'm not sure they necessarily need a rewrite. There had obviously been army movies or war movies in the late 70s, um, more focused on, well, Vietnam, obviously Apocalypse Now and all that. But there had also been other satires like Catch 22, Kelly's Heroes, even earlier. Um, so the idea of lampooning the military wasn't like the new thing exactly, and MASH had already been on the air for about 10 years and was a total juggernaut at this point, like a cultural phenomenon. So why I can only think of two army comedy movies, maybe that's a personal, maybe there were some other ones that fell through the cracks that I missed. I don't know. Um, so the main rewrite here obviously is Stripes. Now Stripes came out. I put Private Benjamin in the title. Private Benjamin actually came out before Stripes. Private Benjamin was the previous October. Stripes came out in the summer of '81. Um, so uh, didn't really, I've seen both of them, but I didn't really intend to focus on Private Benjamin, but I'll mention it again in a minute. Stripes. Uh, Now, the other, the more serious military movies, the one that I'm not talking about now, like Taps, An Officer and a Gentleman, they actually came out after these two comedies. And so I don't know if there was a shift or, if there was public reaction, if the pro military people thought these movies were too much of a jab at the military, or if the anti-establishment crowd, lingering in, the public eye was still seeing these as too pro recruitment tool jingoism. I don't know. I'm wearing, the costume. This was like right before the camouflage came in, right? Um, I guess I'm not exactly sure which year that was. Somewhere around '82, I think. But like I said, I don't want to go. There's scenes in both of those kind of movies where there will be townies or whatever protesting the warmongers. You don't really have that in either of these two films. Like I said, they kind of came before that, and they weren't making any overt political statement per se that I could nail down. Obviously, it's a Cold War movie, so I'll get into that in a minute too. But Stripes doesn't, suffer as much, from the clash of with the civilians, as much as the argument, like it's a, that, like I said, that the military itself might be kind of lame. But then it turns around and kind of says that this new breed of recruits will augment the military somehow or something, John Larroquette plays a buffoon captain, and the fall guy for, the who's also the foible or the foil or whatever, is, the tough as nails Sergeant Hulka, who's, your throwback kind of stock in trade, drill instructor. And he has, the misfortune of trying to turn older, lazy, slacker John Winger, not John Bender, played by Bill Murray, into a lean, mean fighting machine. And, there's other colorful characters make it a mostly fun romp, like, John Candy and the hillbilly guy. And you have dog face pony soldier. You have sidekick Harold Ramis, and John's talked him into this mistake while he was just having fun teaching English to immigrants, But at the time, he doesn't have a cute girlfriend like Sean Young, and John Winger has just Breakfast Club stuck in my brain. Although they missed the boat on that name, they could have had it. He just got dumped, of course. It's like almost the exact same introduction as Happy Gilmore, right? Lost my job, lost my girlfriend. Happy Gilmore being the over the top '90s version. when you thought the 80s was over the top, wait till the 90s. And I guess when we talk about Private Benjamin, we could talk about G.I. Jane, right? But I'm not going to do that here either. So yeah, John and Russell meet the two cute MPs during processing, and they exchange some flirty chemistry. But the new recruits have pretty much zero contact with the female recruits on the base. You know, like they're kind of shown like, hey, they're a thing now too, but it's not, kind of a women in the army movie like Private Benjamin was. Um, the uh, there's like the brief scene where John Larroquette, the captain, he gives us a glimpse through his binoculars into the female shower room, which is kind of typical of buddy or coming age movies of the time. Same as Porky's came out the same year. That whole kind of hijinks thing was, MASH was lousy with that kind of stuff. I don't mean lousy in the bad sense, but like it was a kind of a theme in MASH about the doctors and the nurses and all that kind of thing. Uh, and of course here you got an R-rated movie or whatever, so you can show more. But the first half of the movie, everybody pretty much enjoys or whatever. At one point, John tries to escape to go AWOL, and Russell tries to stop him. They're discovered by the gals who are on MP patrol, and they all go for a little bedroom R&R in the vacant general's house for the night. So, now they're basically in a new relationship. Both of them are two couples, even though it's the sexual revolution and all that. No one night stand, whatever. Fine. We introduced the girls. We know the guys are going to go with the girls. Fine. I don't think we see either of these gals undressed much like those earlier extras, if memory serves. But now the guys are committed to finish basic training, and Sergeant Hulka gets blown up, etc. So, okay, fine. Everybody thinks that the second half is boring and lame, but nobody ever says how to fix this travesty. So, unfortunately, I don't know how to fix it per se either, but extending the boot camp segment would be about the only solution, maybe, if it could be, if it could be done without becoming tedious. Obviously, Bill Murray versus Sergeant Hulka is the spine of the thing. So when their conflict is mostly over and the new enemy becomes, the Russians or the East Germans or whoever, because Winger and Hulka are on the same team, technically, even though there's still this conflict, the film clearly suffers, and John and Russell want to use the army as their own personal kind of dating vacation service, so they're trying to figure out how to get together with the girls more, and the other characters have all become kind of sidelined. And that should be funny enough, I guess, but it's the Cold War, so there's some kind of injection of, U.S. superiority written in. And we want, the logical character arcs that somehow they have become real soldiers instead of just fast talking, quipping GIs in one stupid graduation parade, when 5 seconds before half the guys were going to, kill each other in a race riot. Problem averted, and they all get stationed together, and even Psycho gets to graduate. Yay. I don't think Ox lost any weight, though. Whatever was supposed to happen there. Because he joins the army because it's a weight loss program for him. he's still Ox after the graduation. So the troop gets captured. If you haven't seen the movie, this is just spoilers. Like, who are you who hasn't seen the movie? I don't know, but whatever. So the troop gets captured while the guys are courting off in the Alps, and they have to come save the day. But it's like I said, it's not like Bill and Russell, or Bill and Harold, John and Russell, have really become great soldiers. Their only tactical strategy is bluff their way in and blast their way out. So they just get lucky that their technology is undefeatable, and they become heroes almost by default for rescuing the same guys they endangered in the first place with their AWOL field trip. I guess, yeah, they do remain cool under fire, but maybe mostly that's because they have the gals with them who are trained feminist warriors or something. I forget. So I guess it's a good thing we didn't have a real war in the 80s. So yeah, I don't know what to say except I'm just pointing out the flaws that have possibly remained undiagnosed by confused or disappointed viewers. But don't repeat these mistakes when you make your own war farce comedy. And then, like I said, with Private Benjamin, zum zum. I mean, we have kind of the same second half problem as Stripes, but with a more unsatisfying ending in a way. I mean, she walks out on the army and then walks out on her second marriage. Then that's empowerment, I guess. Yay! Like I said, when we come back in the '90s, there won't be comedies. It'll be GI Jane and Ring the Bell and all that, and fighting with the Lord of the Rings guy. And uh, I I don't know that I have rewrite notes on something like GI Jane as much as like other people's take on it is usually like off. Like, no, you kind of missed the point, but that's a separate discussion. So that's my Stripes roundup. Sorry if it wasn't as comprehensive as it could be in 12 minutes or less.